your fighter. Slightly inspired. Fight.
I was just feeling that music, man. DJ Brittany Keaton in the house, keeping us awake in our post-lunch, post-epic office hour potential slumber. Well, let's stay upbeat because this next part is going to be awesome. We are going to have a Houston Startup Showcase, and it's presented by Dr. Adrian Stone. Adrian is actually a friend of mine. We went to grad school together, same PhD program. And fun story about Adrian, I'm going to tell really quickly because I've gotten a lot of feedback that y'all love my little dog. One time I was pitching to investors in San Francisco years ago, and Adrian was actually working at 23andMe. Well, we had knew each other from grad school, but then we were at the gate getting on the same airplane from San Francisco to Houston. And I had my little dog and she had her little dog. And we kept eyeing each other. And I was like, do we know each other or do we both just love dogs? And so we feel connected. That's when our friendship really blossomed. I am so grateful to make sure that we still have PhDs at Capital Factory, bringing in the Texas Medical Center. And I am really excited about the companies she is going to be introducing because 3 of them were recruited when I was the venture associate. And I am just so proud of them. My founders know that I'm very maternal energy. I take care of my founders. And so to see 3 of them pitching today is just really makes me so excited. Adrian, you there? Dr. Stone?
Hey, I'm here.
Hey.
I'm not going to lie. I got a little nervous when you said you were going to tell a story because there could be a couple. That was a good one. Yes. Well, great. Thank you, Brittany. You've been doing a great job today, giving everybody, getting everything going with the event. And I'm glad that we got to connect again. It's been a couple of months since I've seen you last. So hope you're doing well.
I know. Miss you, girl. I know you're holding down Houston, H-Town strong. So I'm excited to hear from your founders.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and get started. Up first, we're going to be hearing from a company that's objectively cooler than SpaceX, virtual reality, and AR fighter jets put together, or at least that's what their founder, Gustavo Sanchez, says. So Gustavo, why don't you come on up and tell us a little bit more about Pendata Tech?
Thanks for that. We good with the mic and the screen?
Yep. Well, I can see you anyways. Let's go ahead and get your presentation up.
There we go. Fantastic. Well,
all right, there we go.
Thanks for saying that ridiculous statement I sent your way. But hi, everybody. My name is Gustavo Sanchez. I'm the co-founder of Pendata Tech. And what we're about is data quality. We help companies and federal organizations that manage lots of sensors, collecting millions of time series data points, reduce the time and the cost it takes to clean and validate this data. This is important because 80% of a data professional's time is spent cleaning and validating data. And all of those AI algorithms that you hear about, they're very unreliable unless they have access to clean, quality, validated data. So what we've done is we created a software product that uses physics, it uses AI, and it uses advanced analytics to essentially tell you if your sensor is telling you the truth. It's grabbing that time series data and it's making it a usable product. It's reducing that 80% time that data professionals spent cleaning and validating. Now it's only 20, and it's making algorithms more reliable, solving the old adage, garbage in, garbage out. So I'll jump to the impact and value. On the text bubble, you'll see that we helped the world's largest offshore drilling company deploy distributed IoT platforms from 2 years to 12 weeks, right? Because once you have data quality, things fall into place. On the left side, if you read it, it says that what took their team of SMEs a week to do, it takes us 6 minutes. And this is just one, the example there is one of 40,000 different sensors. So you can imagine the impact. Through COVID, we've been doing okay. We've been working, again, on the energy side, but also with the Department of Defense, the Marines, the Air Force. And if anybody watching wants to learn more, or if you think this can make your life easier, please let me know. Contact info is right there. And I think we're good for some questions. Or not. Thank you.
Hey, all right, Gustavo. So if there are questions in the chat, then y'all. Oh, did we lose Gustavo? There he is. Okay. So if there's questions in the chat, then we'll let you know as we continue on. I had a couple of questions for you though, if you don't mind. All right. So the first one that I was actually wondering is like, so what would be the outcome of not having a data validation pipeline? Like, why is it important for this?
Okay, sure. I'll give you 3 examples. The first example is real life example in an energy operation where operators turned off the digital alarm system because it was giving them too many false alarms. So they get annoyed, they turn it off. 5 minutes later, or not 5 minutes later, sorry, later on in the operation, because that was turned off, there was a blowout and 5 people died. So that's obviously one extreme. Now, it can also happen that you're working on your AI to do predictive maintenance optimization, and it works really well in your sandbox. But when you deploy it, it doesn't work, right? And that's actually kind of where people usually will come talk to us. Or I won't, without naming any names, if you've seen in the news in the past couple of years, there's been some of the world's biggest companies that have to leave industries. For example, the energy industry, for many reasons. But on the operational side, on the AI and software, a lot of it has to do with data quality.
Interesting. So I mean, so that seems like that would be pretty important for companies to be keeping on top of this. My next question is, well, so AI and machine learning, these are trendy topics right now. You hear it thrown around a lot, like AI for tacos or whatever. But that's not the case with you guys. So how are you using AI and machine learning, and why is this an ideal use case?
Yeah, so, well, AI, first of all, AI is not the platform. AI is a tool we use inside the platform. Okay.
Right.
Like I said, there's physics, there's analytics. It's just part of the workflow. And the AI essentially tells us if a sensor is not telling the truth. And that's just one of many different quality checks that everything goes through the data. Now we got a question, what is the current revenue? And do we have customers? So they go hand in hand. Yes, the revenue is over $1 million. We do have customers in energy, renewables, smart cities within the Department of Defense. And the ask is for anybody, is anyone watching, just my contact info is right there on the screen. That's my ask. Send me an email. Let's talk. Very simple ask. We're not raising money right now, so just, yeah. And I see something else in the chat, a little quote, every sensor lies. That's absolutely true. Yeah,
for sure. So I know you guys are doing some work you've done some work with some military contracts. What other industries could utilize your platform?
So we went through the offshore drilling use case of all energy, but throughout the value chain. So our focus right now is actually in quote unquote smart cities for energy, which is utilities, energy distribution, and energy generation. Right on that same kind of top lane, you have water, especially in the city, right? So that's our focus outside of the DoD.
Cool. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions coming through on the chat. This is great. Thank you so much, Gustavo, for your pitch, and thank you for answering my questions. It's always great for us to connect. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next company to be presenting this afternoon is Rev Tara, and this will be presented by Ben Jodat. Ben, if you want to go ahead and get your camera turned on, and oh, there you are.
Yeah, and, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So I'm looking forward. I was peeking a bit at what you guys are working on, so I'm excited to see your pitch this afternoon. We can see your screen, so if you want to go ahead and get started.
Cool. Hey everyone, I'm Ben Jodat, founder at Rev Tara. And so our starting point really is the problem that we see with renewables, which is that most of the renewable energy sources, such as solar or wind, they do not produce a constant amount of power over time. So you need something to even out that power production over a 24-hour period of time. namely energy storage. And the currently available energy storage options all have some severe limiting factors. So whether it's high cost, environmental impact, whether it's fire hazards, safety hazards, maintenance issues, these are all things that are currently limiting the large-scale deployment of energy storage, and therefore also limiting the scope to which renewables can be deployed onto the grid. So flywheels are a clean potential alternative to lithium-ion batteries and other energy storage options in certain situations. So the concept for flywheel energy storage is really simple. You have a cylindrical steel rotor, which is spun up to high speeds by an electric motor. That creates kinetic energy in the rotor. So that kinetic energy then stays for some period of time. And when you want to extract it and convert it back into electricity, you use a generator to slow down the rotor and convert that kinetic energy back into electricity. So this is a great technology, but it has been historically limited by its really high inefficiency. So we have a technology that is capable of being 50 to 75% cheaper than lithium-ion batteries, but is really limited by this inefficiency problem. And namely the inefficiency coming from the bearings, which hold up the flywheel and allow it to spin at high speeds. So what we're doing at Rev Tara is we're leveraging the existing flywheel energy storage technology, but we are implementing our proprietary passively stable magnetic bearing technology. And what this does is it substantially reduces that energy loss that the flywheel rotor incurs, and allows it to actually match the high efficiency of lithium-ion batteries while retaining all of the benefits of flywheels, which is really long lifetime, low environmental impact, scalability. And so the image on the right is our prototype system, which we've recently finished building. And the square on the bottom, the curve on the bottom, is the data that we've extracted from our prototype system. And on the left is a comparison of the different technologies: conventional flywheels, lithium-ion batteries, and Rev Tara's technology. So you can see how quickly the energy is lost in these different technologies due to the self-discharging and parasitic losses. So for lithium-ion, what's shown is a range from really ideal case to real world situation where you have a battery installed with all the HVAC losses associated with that. Our initial market is going to be utility scale energy storage, which is large and growing fast. So our initial minimum viable product is going to be a 100 kilowatt hour flywheel energy storage system, which is well matched to the needs of the market. And we believe there's a huge market opportunity based on the demand and the lack of energy storage currently paired with renewables. Our competitive landscape is other flywheel batteries, leading lithium-ion batteries. Our technology is substantially lower cost, low maintenance, long lifespan, and really low levelized cost of storage are the key advantages. So as I mentioned, we've developed a prototype. We are right now gearing up to develop our pilot test unit for MVP, pilot testing with a utility company, and plan to go for commercialization after that. So thanks, and I look forward to any questions.
Hey, Ben, very cool. I think it's such an interesting technology. And in the background, back behind the scenes, people were saying, oh my gosh, I remember when this was a napkin drawing, and now you've got this prototype, and it's very cool. So some questions that came in while you were presenting. What are your thoughts on the arrival of Tesla's Gigafactory to Texas? And what do you think is misunderstood in your industry, and why? And I'll just go ahead and I'll stop there and let you take that one.
Sure. Yeah. So lithium-ion batteries is a good question. The cost of individual lithium-ion cells is coming down at a pretty steady pace. However, that's not the entire cost of the lithium-ion battery. You have the enclosure which it goes in, which is heavily regulated because of the fire hazards, and you have to have an HVAC system, for example, to maintain the appropriate temperature to prevent thermal runaway. So all of these things actually mean that the cost of the installed cost for lithium-ion is not really going down at the same level as the individual battery cells. And that's what we're competing with is the installed cost. And also we don't necessarily know that the battery cell cost is going to come down as much as some people say.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question.
I also know yeah, no, that's good. The other, another thing to keep in mind for some of you out in the audience, if you didn't know this, is there's actually some places where lithium-ion batteries just are, because of regulations, they're not allowed. And so it's good to have alternatives. For reasons in addition to that. Go ahead.
One thing that I forgot to mention also is just the lifespan of lithium-ion batteries. So you have typically a 7-year lifespan. What we're working on would have a 30-year plus lifespan. So not only is the upfront cost competitive, but really when you look at the levelized cost over a 30-year lifespan for lithium-ion batteries, you have to replace that multiple times, and all the maintenance associated with it. So that's another key difference.
Yeah, good point. And then somebody else asked, how long do you think it'll be before you're able to commercialize this technology?
Yeah, so our goal and our aim is to produce a pilot test unit by the middle of next year. With that pilot test unit, we'll do a test with the utility company to get feedback on that initial pilot test unit. We will incorporate that feedback onto a second generation version of that, which we'll use to do like a 10 megawatt hour size project. And then from there, we'll go forward with larger scale projects the following year.
Very cool. Well, great job. Thank you so much, Ben. This was really lovely to see the work that you guys have done in just such a short amount of time. It's very cool. So thank you so much. And we're going to go ahead and move on to our next presenter for the afternoon. Next up, we're going to be speaking to Ryan Guerrera. He is with Skylark Wireless. So Ryan, if you want to go ahead and get up on camera. Hey there, Ryan. Nice to see you. And
Hi,
good afternoon. If you want to go ahead and share your screen, we can go ahead and jump right in. There we go. All right.
Excellent. Well, thanks for the intro, Dr. Stone. I'm Ryan Guerrera. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Skylark Wireless, and we build very long-range wireless systems for the rural broadband market. So one of the biggest issues that now that everyone's trapped inside and have to work from home, the folks that live in rural areas are realizing that they don't have the right broadband infrastructure to support modern applications. And the key reason is that today's network infrastructure is too expensive for rural areas. If you can imagine deploying fiber or substandard wireless systems to all these distant farms and small businesses, it costs more to deploy them, costs more to operate and maintain them, and you earn less revenue from a smaller user base. And as a result of this, about 40% of Americans, about 41 million Americans living in rural areas, don't have broadband access. They can't buy it even if they want to. At Scarlet Wireless, we've developed advanced 5G technologies that allow you to bridge that digital divide. And this is how it works. The core technology is called massive MIMO beamforming. We've implemented that in our platform called Pharos, which means lighthouse in Greek. And hopefully you can see where this is going. But if you compare 4G or 5G systems in rural areas, they broadcast energy in a sector. What massive MIMO beamforming does is it takes an array of smart radios at the base station that all cooperate to beamform to the intended user. That gives you higher signal strength, longer range, more reliability, et cetera, et cetera. But the really neat part is because you're not causing interference to other users in the network, you can do some smart math at the base station to form multiple beams to multiple users on the same channel and at the same time. This gives you a multiplier in capacity for every beam that you can add to the system. So for example, in the picture that I've drawn on the right, you have 8 beams, 8 times the capacity, and you're going from, say, 100 megabits for your narrow channel to 800 megabits per second. Faro's first commercial system will support up to 32 beams simultaneously that are all moving around in real time to track users and share that total bandwidth. At the end of the day, what this allows you to do, if I'm an internet service provider, is now I can deploy less equipment and serve more users, bringing down my CapEx, OpEx, and improving my revenue stream. And so if you look at actually all of the 243 federally subsidized rural broadband projects proposed and accepted in the US in the past 2 years, the average cost per household passed is about $7,000 to $8,000, sometimes running up to $100,000 per household. A project designed with Faro's fixed wireless actually is the least expensive option of all of them, clocking in about $400 per household passed. That goes from being completely untenable business plan to now this is a profitable business plan for internet service providers in rural areas. The total addressable market for this technology, if you look at all of the unserved US households, it's about $2 billion a year just in the US alone for unserved households. Overall, the internet service providers servicing that market are missing out on about $14 billion a year in potential subscriber fees. And then if you kind of zoom out to the rest of the world, about half of the world doesn't have broadband access. And the total global market for next generation 6G wireless systems is about $70 billion a year. So a lot of room to grow, both in the US and rural markets. Here's an example of some of our prototype systems, sized for different frequencies and different applications, all the way from a smaller system to serve the high capacity and small high density of a stadium on the left, all the way to a very long range 20, 30 kilometer coverage base station deployed in a very rural area on a water tower, all the way on the right. Skylark's technology is implemented in every one of these platforms, and you can actually go out in the middle of nowhere in Giddings, Texas, and get a broadband connection where you couldn't get before with our system today. So as you might have guessed, our technical pilot out in the area between Houston, Austin, and San Antonio is complete. We've shown that we get range improvements and capacity improvements expected with this kind of technology. And we've had that system up on these towers for a better part of a year now, getting struck by lightning, learning how it reacts to heat and temperature and rain, et cetera, so we can learn how to make it robust for users. The next step is scaling that to a commercial pilot through the USDA Reconnect program, and that's where most of the economic numbers that I gave you come into play. And traditionally, over the past couple of years, Skylark has sold wireless base stations to R&D customers and initial pilot customers. And we actually, in 2020, took in about $800K in sales of just our hardware platform alone. In addition to that, we are an NSF Phase 2, Phase 2B company. And we raised a seed round at the tail end of last year. I know that's about all the time that I have for today, so I just wanted to leave you with this. Skylark Wireless, we are basically optimizing 5G technologies for the rural broadband market, making us the most economic solution for rural broadband. Our patented long-range 5G system provides the highest speed at the lowest cost in rural areas. And we are currently raising a $7.5 million Series A raise that I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody in more detail about. My contact information is there, and a really cool profile article from the Houston Chronicle is also linked there at the bottom if you guys want to check it out. Thank you.
I was muted. Great job, Brian. So that's really awesome. I saw that article in the Chronicle. I highly recommend anybody check it out. It just really sheds some light on this issue if you haven't experienced it firsthand, which I haven't, like living out in Houston in the city. So I just wanted to follow up with some of the questions that we saw in the chat here. So one of our guests asked, why aren't your competitors approaching 5G the same way that you are? What is it? How did you guys come upon this?
Yeah, I mean, so in a nutshell, it's really hard, but more practically for the purpose of this conversation, the ability to provide make that beamforming robust at very long range, we actually patented, myself and my co-founder, starting back in 2011 at our time in our PhD program at Rice University. So we actually, at that time, built the first hardware prototype of a massive MIMO system anywhere in the world. We iterated on that platform. We found a bunch of bottlenecks and challenges, solved them, patented them, and all that technology is driving Skylark's system today. And that's why we can provide that long range and high capacity that other vendors can't do.
That's great. Gotta love that ingenuity coming out of the Texas universities. All right. So next question was, what are the biggest steps for you guys coming up in 2021?
Yeah, so 2021 is going to be a really big year for us. So first off, we closed the Series A. The goal is to bring our second generation system to market. I noticed somebody asked about lightning protection. Yep, we realized we needed more of that, even more. So Gen 2 is almost lightning proof. And that is, we have prototypes in the office today, and we're looking to scale production of that and get that to the market in Q3. We're already planning with internet service providers today. We plan projects that could be around $900 million over the next 10 years for them. And that would be about $200 million of sales to Skylark Wireless over the next 10 years using our technology to fulfill those orders. So, we're building that pipeline, bringing the product to market, and we need help from investors to make that a reality.
Yeah. And speaking of investors, with the $7.5 million raise, who would be your ideal investor?
Oh, man. So we talked to a bunch of folks. I think there are a lot of investors that have tech companies in their portfolio, either actually internet service providers themselves or applications that run on top that need more internet users. So there's a 40 million American unserved, untapped market for all of the tech companies in your portfolio that you're not reaching today. Skylark can provide that reach.
Great pitch. Awesome, Ryan. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us about your technology. It's very exciting. And I look forward to, with this pandemic, I've realized I can work from anywhere. So why not go out in the middle of the country, and we'll be using your wireless. So thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next presenter for the afternoon. We'll be speaking with Esma Mirza from Stradian Technologies. So if you want to go ahead and come up on screen.
Hey, Adrian, how are you?
Hey. I'm doing great. It's good to catch up again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, perfect. If you want to go ahead and share your screen, and then as soon as we get that confirmed, then we can get started.
Let me know when it's shared because I can't see.
I can see it. So you're good to go.
Yeah, well, thank you for that introduction. I'm going to talk about our startup called Steradian Technologies, and what we're doing is developing a portable 30-second diagnostic test that came out of deep tech optics technology. So, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and one of the things that we've seen is when it comes to point of care tests, they're very labor intensive, time consuming, they're not portable, and quite often they can be inaccurate because of low levels of detection. And that's generally due to how we amplify the virus or the bacteria. Even the rapid tests right now, they're a bit too slow. And so what we've done is we have a novel amplification and detection system that uses photonics. So on the left, you see this disposable tube. You blow into the tube, you insert it into this handheld device that's about the size of your cell phone. And what happens is this magic of optics. It's science, but it basically takes that and it amplifies it quite a bit to where you can detect it within 30 seconds. And so I'm going to show you very quickly how that works. The Ruby Portable Instant Detection System. Here's a side view and a top view. And this is a disposable breath tube. This is how it works. Take a disposable sleeve, put it over the device for protection, insert the disposable tube, and have the user blow into it. When the user blows into it, their air will go through the tube with turbulence and specific airflow, guiding the virus or the bacteria into a disease-specific biosensor for binding. Once the pathogen binds to the biosensor will light up. The green light that you see here are photons that are starting to be emitted. These emitted photons are then projected onto our detection system via our patent-pending ellipsoid mirror technology. Once you're done with the test, a readout will be available, and it can be instantly shared to the public health department or network of choice. Remove the disposable parts, and you are ready for the next person to be tested. So going back to this, to recap, it's a 30-second test. It can be used for bacteria, viruses, and biomarkers, and it can be used in a variety of samples such as breath, saliva, blood, and water. Right now we're working with breath. You don't need a lab. It's completely portable, and you can share results and data with your network of choice or public health officials, and it can be used in schools, workplaces, clinics, and the military. The other really cool thing is that you don't just get a positive or a negative. You can actually see the amount of the virus that's detected within your breath. So that's what we're testing right now. And when we look at the market, we see this, going to clinics, private practices, the healthcare branch, but also mobile and trauma units for the military, schools, college campuses to do very quick testing, workplaces, sports, and mass transit, such as buses, airlines. Currently, we've tested our prototype in a lab environment, and what we found was that the device is demonstrating 99% sensitivity. So to put that into perspective for you, pretty high laboratory detection, if you use lab equipment, is around 0.49 nanomolars. Our device can detect 0.186 picomolars, which is really great because we're using photonics, which means that it can detect as little as 3 photons with accuracy. And we're developing a peptide for SARS-CoV-2. These are a couple of our partners. We are working with Johnson & Johnson Center for Device Innovation. They have sponsored our research at J Labs to develop the SARS-CoV-2 peptide. And we're semifinalists currently in X Prize's $5 million COVID competition. We're also working with AT&T Foundry, which is their healthcare innovation branch, to see how we can put a chip into the device to quickly be able to share results. Our team is a team of engineers, PhDs, and my background is in global health technology. We're raising a $1 million round. It'll take us all the way to clinical trials, and we are Stradian Technologies. We're developing a portable 30-second diagnostic test.
Hey, oh, great job. Very cool. I really enjoyed that video. It helped. I like to see things, to visualize them, and so that really was very useful. So thank you. We did have a couple of questions come in. The first one is, when will this tech save us from the misery of brain swab tests? And then actually, I also wanted to add to that, and how much will it cost?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the disposable test costs us $4.17, which is really great because we can make our pricing anywhere between, $10, $15, $5, whatever it takes to make it accessible to people, but still be profitable on our end. And then did you ask me something else?
They asked when the tech would save us from the misery of brain swabs.
Yeah, so we are hoping to get this out by end of Q1, beginning of Q2 2021. And, there are 2 vaccines that are kind of running towards the finish line. And when you generally look at global health or public health, vaccinations and therapeutics are very important, but detection doesn't go away. So you still need detection. And so we're hoping to get this out as quickly as possible next year.
Yeah, great. And then somebody asked, what type of FDA regulations or approvals are required to run these tests as a diagnostic?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. So right now, since we're working with SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19, the FDA is allowing you to use something called the Emergency Use Authorization. And so what you do is you submit your clinical trial data to them, and the turnaround time is pretty quick. It's about 1 to 2 days. When
Wow.
really it takes, because we really need it. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So assuming that, hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, and all the other things, the COVID comes under control in the near future, what would be the next major test that this would be a good fit for?
Yeah, so we're starting off with breath. So COVID-19 is a respiratory disease. So we'd probably look at other respiratory diseases such as tuberculosis, which is one of the top 10 killers in the world. But also individuals who have lung cancer, they have specific biomarkers in their breath. So we could go ahead and quickly screen people for lung cancer as well. And then from there on out, we can change it to different samples such as saliva, blood, and bacteria, viruses, biosurveillance, chemical warfare. Environmental safety, the sky's the limit with something like this.
Very cool. Let's see. One other question was just that if the vaccine, I think you kind of touched on this a little bit in your earlier, but if the vaccine were to, vaccines potentially going to be available in the next couple of months, and as you said, this surveillance of the disease is still important. So do you see that this will still be a necessary tool even after a vaccine becomes available?
Yeah, so with regards to COVID-19, yes, because the uptake of the vaccine, will be a little slow. I think people just don't trust it that much, even within the scientific community. We want to see more results. But at the same time, you still need detection when therapeutics come around, right? So you need to know if somebody truly is exhibiting symptoms or if they're asymptomatic of COVID-19 and then give them the correct therapeutics. Once COVID-19 is over, this is a testing platform, so we can use it for a host of other things.
Yeah, great. I know personally, my husband had a COVID scare at his office, and the whole office had to go get tested because one person thought they were exposed, and it took days before they would get results, and they had gone to see clients, and they were all very worried. Fortunately, nobody had actually gotten sick, but it would be so nice to be able to just, know within 30 seconds.
Yeah, within 30 seconds, exactly. Yep.
Super useful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Esma. This was great. We're going to go ahead and move on to our final company pitching today. This is Valhalla Healthcare. And Alex Bakke, if you will join me on stage. Hey, there you are.
Yo. How's it going?
Doing good. You are last, but certainly not least. And so we are ready to go whenever you have your screen shared. Perfect. Okay. There you go.
Excellent. All right. Thanks a lot. Hey, everyone. How's it going? Alex Bakke here, physician and co-founder and CEO of Valhalla Healthcare. So today, believe it or not, the doctors actually spend more of their clinic life on the computer than they actually spend with patients. About 50% of time is spent on the computer and 30% with patients. And that really sucks because that leads to, burnout, higher rates of malpractice, and worse outcomes for patients. But also probably more important than all these metrics is it leaves patients feeling like they're just not heard and listened to. And that's really not a good sustainable system. So something has to be done. And we're solving that problem at Valhalla Healthcare with a solution that's called Allevia. And Allevia is an intelligent patient intake tool that automates clinical notes for doctors. Essentially, imagine that you have an intelligent clipboard that whenever you get a text message or whenever you set up your appointment, you'll get a text message, email, portal notification saying, hey, thanks for signing up to see Dr. So-and-so. Please fill out this pre-appointment questionnaire. Now, this isn't the same stuff and static paperwork you have to do over and over and over and over again, but rather something that's uniquely tailored to you, your particular complaints, your unique history, and the doctor you're going to see. And this is adapted. It does use predictive modeling based on evidence-based data sets to kind of reverse engineer the information that your doctor would need to know. So by doing this intelligent questionnaire about 5 or 10 minutes before you see your doctor, we actually package that information and data all together and send it over to your doctor in the form of a clinical note draft, something they're very used to seeing. And honestly, it's a template that they can use. So they don't have to spend as much time, typing with their back facing to you, and can focus more on, speaking to you actually and learning more about you. And there's significant value in what we're doing, providing to doctors, even from not just the time savings, but we're increasing the accuracy of their coding. So it helps them recoup more money that they would leave on the table, which is anywhere from 10 to 60K per doctor per year. And taking into account our pricing, we can actually get up to a 24x ROI for these doctors. We currently target the health systems, large networks, and other doctors. And it's a $5 billion total market size that we're looking at, and we're a B2B SaaS. We also integrate with the health record. That's important to note. Compared to our competition, we don't require any devices like smart speakers. No workflow changes. Doctors never touch our technology at all. It's all fully patient-facing, and we actually can go through some real cool clinical content. Nothing basic, nothing static. That adaptive system. So that means plus sides for everything compared to our competitors. We are we've got some significant traction. We have some big brand name systems, health system that's actually not on here as well. But we have over 700 doctors subscribed to date, are making about 30K monthly and are growing rapidly. We are raising our current round so we can grow our MMR in 12 to 18 months to about 100K, 150K, so we can get to our Series A and roll out some new cool add-ons, including, and this is what this slide shows, is because we're working with patients and patient data, and we'll be soon be able to integrate a lot of wearables and lab data. So that's going to help kind of improve clinical decision support, some features for that, develop some databases that can help, further science and research and development, as well as some really cool machine learning algorithms that we can do to provide extra value for doctors and for health systems. So here we are. Over half of us are doctors. Some of us are developers and data scientists. We're all nerds in some way. So thank you for listening. We're Valhalla Healthcare.
Hey, Alex, great job. Very interesting technology. I've experienced this firsthand in grad school. I did clinical rotations and watched as the physician that I was shadowing sat at the computer and typed through pretty much the entire appointment. So I know that this is definitely a needed technology. So you mentioned that, actually here, we've got a question that came in from the audience. It's even better. Who would be an ideal partner that you would like to work with within the company? Like who would you like to bring on to work with Valhalla next?
Yeah, so any health systems, really forward-thinking health systems, especially in our home base of TMC, would be amazing.
Hint,
Call
hint.
anyone out in particular, but and then next year we think we'll be ready to approach someone like a ZocDoc to kind of provide some value add. In addition to their scheduling, we can do a lot of that very heavy clinical intake and pass that to the doctors.
Yeah, great idea. Another question that came in: are doctors hesitant to convert to electronic, or have you seen any of that?
I mean, that's a really valid point because a lot of doctors feel burned by the electronic health record. So we see ourselves as actually specifically trying to mitigate some of those problems that came as a result. So actually not as much. Instead, doctors are really clamoring for the ability to type less notes, and our technology just does that by integrating into the health record to get them to use the health record less. So not as much of a problem. Maybe your older schooler, independent physicians, paper charts and everything. You can't change that.
Yeah. Okay, and then another question that came in: tell us more about the investment round. Who would you like to see as an ideal investor, and when are you trying to close it?
Yes, so we actually have about 4 or 5 interested co-investors. So we just need a lead of $1 or $1.5 million check size, and particularly those that do have pipelines into additional health systems, strategic partnerships that can benefit from the technology we're offering. Those are usually what we're looking for value add, and minus the funds only. So, but just really the main takeaway is we just need a lead, and we're ready to close, and we can close. We're looking to close preferably by end of the year. But
okay.
We can, shoot for early January as well.
All right. Well, if anybody out there is interested, please contact Alex and see what you guys can work out. Oh, we've got another question that just came in. Is there any value in de-identified data?
Yes. So this is great because 1, this protects your privacy when we're talking about de-identified data, and 2, this can advance a lot of research and development. So research for new drugs and therapeutics, right? Working at reducing costs in health insurance by better managing risk. So there's definitely a ton of value, and we are looking at those types of partnerships with de-identified data. Again, it means that they will never be able to trace back to you, but then your contribution just from your day-to-day care actually helps and contribute to science and progressing it along.
Yeah, and I guess just really quickly, can you give some examples of what that would be for the non-healthcare folks in the audience? What does it mean for it to be de-identified?
Yeah, so this is essentially like when we go at de-identifying, it removes anything that could potentially identify you, right? So first name, last name, date of birth, addresses, phone numbers, sometimes even age if it's 90 or greater. And these are pretty set and well understood in these HIPAA, as you might have heard before, which is a lot of the patient protections. But what it does is then just look at objectively at the data, looking at those clinical conditions, the symptoms, the durations, the characteristics of those responses to treatment. And with our powerful data model, which is unique, and what we're looking to progress forward is more in that data and analytics, as you saw in that second to last slide, is being able to provide significant value add that these EHRs don't provide, even compared to IBM Watson and Amazon in their approach, where they try to extract data from really low quality data sources and construct, these things. We actually can construct notes, we can construct analytics, visualize the data, do algorithms with the raw data points that we have in our data model. So that's really key value, long-term value, in addition to the shorter midterm value for lowering the documentation burden for doctors.
Very cool. I actually heard on A16Z podcast the other day that there was a thinking that EHRs were going to, unlock all this data for us, but really they haven't lived up to the promise because there hasn't been anything to really parse through that data. So if you can make a dent on that, then that would be super, very useful for the medical profession and all the ancillary businesses. So great job, Alex. Thank you so much. I think we're at this point, so that wraps up Houston's showcase today. We're going to call everybody back up for a big group photo. And so I'll just hang out here. Gustavo. Great job, everybody. Thank you for making Houston look awesome. Oh, goodness. We've got Quark with us, everybody. It's a famous dog. All right. And is this everybody? It looks like we're missing Ryan. Did Ryan? Oh. Well, I was probably talking in the middle of that photo, so that's going to be great. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. If you have any questions for any of our guests today, feel free to reach out to them, invest in their projects, and we will call it an afternoon for the showcase. Brittany, did you have anything you wanted to say as we close out here?
Nope. I do have some final talking points. So thank you all so much. I am so proud of Houston. Several of you are my recruits, and I love to see your progress. Great work, y'all. All righty. Okay, y'all. Oh, my camera's a little defocused, but that's okay. I had an amazing day. How awesome was today? Really. It was, I learned so much. I met new people. Oh my goodness. This is the Texas Startup Roadshow at its finest. And I do want to just thank all the startups, all of our speakers, the workshop leaders. Oh my gosh, so amazing. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to, moderate this. You're my old crew. I'm Houston in my heart. And this was so much fun. Definitely check out my podcast, Femtech Focus, for lots of amazing conversations like these around entrepreneurship, innovation, but in women's health and wellness. All right, I want to remind you all about a demo day tonight. It's the ION Startup Demo Day. It's free. It's tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. Central. You can RSVP on texasstartups.com. And don't forget, this is only day 2 of 3. So you're 66% done, but tomorrow is pretty big deal. It's the Dallas day, and we're going to hear from Dave Copps, the CEO of Worlds.io, and Mark Cuban, keynoting the Shark Tank style big idea competition, giving away 200,000 buckos. Woo! Awesome. I am so excited to watch that. And now we're just going to have a closing remark by Josh, and I will see y'all soon. Keep innovating.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you're doing any deals in Texas, I'm interested in co-investing with you. You can email me at josh@quityourjob.com. Thanks to Joe Alapat and all of our breakout hosts for joining us today. And thanks to Cisco and the ION for sponsoring and being great partners. And of course, thank you to our Dream Team alumni and Femtech investor, Brittany Barreto, for being our MC. We'll see you all tomorrow in Dallas with Mark Cuban.